Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Diana and today I would like to show you how I grow peas in containers. And the reason that I like to grow peas in containers versus out in my vegetable garden is because I am planting these in late February. And I live in North Carolina Zone 8A, which means that our last frost date is somewhere around the second week of April. And until then, I'm sure we're gonna get some freezing nights. And when you have the plants grown in containers, you can just easily pop them indoors when you have really cold temperatures. Typically, pea plants like being grown in cooler temperatures, and that is the reason that I am growing them a little bit earlier this year. Last year, I did start my pea plants this exact same way, but a little bit later in the season. I started them around mid-March, and what I found was that by late April, maybe early May, it started to warm up a bit too quickly. While I was getting production, I could tell that the leaves were starting to look stressed, and that is the reason why I am starting them a little bit earlier this year. Anyway, I'm excited to show you how I do this, and let's go ahead and get outside and get started. So what I have here are two pots with potting soil, and this is actually soil that I used last growing season, and I'm just going to reuse it today. And since I am reusing it, I'm going to add some amendments. What I have here is just a little bit of compost. So it looks like my pots are already a bit full, but the soil should settle a bit once I water it all in. And here I'm just going to add a few scoops of the compost. Not too much is necessary. Now that I have added the compost, I'm going to add some fertilizer, and what I'm using is just this Plant-Tone, Espoma Organic Plant-Tone. And honestly, I just add whatever fertilizer I have on hand, and this is what I have right now. I don't really measure, I just pour it right on there, but if you'd like, the measuring instructions are on the back. Okay. Okay. Now that I've added the compost and the fertilizer, I'm just going to mix it all together. And I will say this fertilizer does not smell very good, but it has worked really well for me and I really like it. And I usually don't worry too much about the compost and fertilizer getting down all the way to the bottom, because as it rains or I water the plants, it should make its way down. Okay, now we're just going to smooth it over, make it a little bit less bumpy. All right, so now that we have our soil prepped, I am going to go ahead and plant my peas. And what I am planting is sugar snap peas, and it looks like this. I got this pack from Walmart. Honestly, it doesn't really matter what peas you would like to plant, just whatever you prefer. I'm going to add about half the bag to this pot and then half to the other pot. I've just zoomed in on one pot so I can show you what I do. Just pat it down a tiny bit. So I just pretty much just scatter them all over. I want to have about equal amounts of peas in each pot. That looks about good. And what I like to do is that I just push them down into the soil. So I arrange them however I want the peas to be arranged. Now that I have them how I want them, I am just going to push them in. Maybe about half an inch. It doesn't have to be too precise. I know it looks like a lot of seeds for one pot, and it may be, but this is what I usually do because I want a lot of pea plants. And that is why fertilizing is important. I used to only put a few seeds in each pot, but when harvest comes around, I'd like to harvest more than 5 pea pods at a time. And this method ensures that you get a few more pea pods every time you harvest. Now that I have pushed them all down into the soil, I will just gently cover them. Just pat it down gently. Okay. And this part is done. Last step in planting these pea plants is adding some form of trellising, because they do have, the pea plants have small tendrils that like to grasp on to the trellis, and this allows them to grow vertically. So what I have here is just a tomato cage, and I'll just pop this in right into the soil. And what I like to do is to add some twine so that all these larger areas of the trellis get additional trellising. I don't know if that makes sense, but I will show you. All right, so I have my jute twine, and what I like to do is just make a knot starting at the top here. Like so. Once I have my knot, I will just add some of this jute twine around the tomato cage, and this will just add, I guess, additional trellising, which will allow the pea plants to climb on more easily. So I will just continue to add this in no particular manner. I just try to cover up these large gaps. Finally, after everything is set up, we have our trellis, our peas are in the soil, we are going to water it thoroughly. And we're done. Alright guys, that's the end of this video. I hope I've taught you guys something cool, maybe for those of you gardening in smaller spaces. This is a great way to grow your peas in my opinion. But I would like to give you guys an update, so make sure you subscribe so you can see further updates. It does look very beautiful. Once the peas emerge, you can hardly tell there's a tomato cage under there. So yeah, thank you for watching this video.